Will the CFA charter allow you to earn more money in your career? The answer is probably yes and no. It's an important question because, let's be real, it's on the top of just about everyone's mind who pursues this charter or has earned it in the past and is looking at their own income. As much as many of the CFA industry market participants like to talk about the knowledge and informational base that you can gain from the CFA program, which is all true, not many people would actually pursue it if it wasn't assumed that it was also going to come with an increased income. And if you think that sounds a little shallow, then maybe at least you could agree with the fact that almost nobody would pursue the CFA charter if the promise was that you're gonna sacrifice up to 3, 4, 5 years of your life trying to take these difficult exams, and then when you're done, you're gonna make less money. That would be a very unpopular proposition. I think we can infer from that then that this is on people's minds and it matters. In this video, we'll cover why I say yes, you can earn some more money, but it's also not necessarily guaranteed. That's the yes and no. I'll share some of the data that the CFA Institute publishes each year about CFA charter holder compensation compared to the rest of the market, but importantly, why those numbers are not the only story there. And then also some of my own personal career advancements, or maybe not advancements, through my years of the CFA program. At face value, yes, having the CFA charter should, and many times will, be able to earn you a higher income. It's not because a manager of 2 employees, let's say in the same exact role, will look at one that has the CFA charter and automatically just pay that person a bit more than the one that doesn't. Now, there may be some firms or positions that it really does kind of work that way, but for the most part, in finance, this is a business-focused industry. A much bigger factor in your current earnings and your future career earnings is going to be the value that you can provide in whatever business you're operating in. Now, I'm not going to get all preachy about like building your own value in your life and becoming a more valuable human or all those types of things. Again, at face value, just having the letters is not what necessarily gives you a 10% bump in pay or something like that. The big factor there, though, is that the CFA is a great qualifier for many positions. There are a lot of different career paths that people may want to get into, sometimes for pay and other times because they otherwise couldn't have gotten into that field, that the CFA charter is a bit of a prerequisite for. And if it's not on the job application as a prerequisite, there are still going to be some cases where it's sort of an unspoken prerequisite, and that maybe lots of people in the firm are CFA charter holders or other similar people in that role are CFA charter holders. And then finally, even if it's not an unspoken prerequisite, it could be that a certain role is pretty desirable in the finance field, so there might be 50 candidates applying for it. Well, if half of them have the CFA charter, that's going to make a very easy, very clear division for the hiring manager to go, okay, well, here's a chunk of the candidates for this role that are a bit more qualified than the others. No matter which way you split this, having the CFA charter is going to make you more marketable for what are probably higher paying jobs. And that's really why I'm saying at face value, yeah, it can earn you more money because it's going to give you opportunities for jobs that may be paying more than the roles that people who don't have the CFA charter may be working in. And the CFA Institute would love for you to believe that the data they publish on the incomes earned by candidates and charter holders aligns with what I just shared with you. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the video, but there's a very important piece to be said here about why just because you are now more marketable and may get into a better role, that does not necessarily mean that you're going to be able to earn a much higher, or what you might be thinking of as like a CFA charter holder's income. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to make that in your life. That future projected earnings, future salary, however you want to think about it, it's going to be much more correlated to your quality as an employee or as a person in general than do you have the CFA charter or not. And that is why I say having the CFA charter may not necessarily earn you this higher income that you've dreamt of, because while there very well may be a lot of CFA charter holders making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, those people are also probably very driven, very good at their jobs, and very marketable. They're worth that amount of money to the firms that they work at. Although the CFA charter holder is a great qualifier, like we already established, I don't think it's the biggest indicator. You just really have to be good at your job. You have to provide a lot of value to your company for them to be willing to pay you those big sticker numbers that some people may look at if they do look at the CFA Institute's compensation studies. Just about anyone with the CFA charter is going to be earning 6 figures, and the median income for CFA charter holders with 5 to 10 years of experience, I think, is between $150,000 and $200,000 a year. When you're sifting through the CFA Institute's compensation data, they even let you sort by like senior manager roles only, and those CFA charter holders in senior management positions are on average earning, I think it was like $450,000 a year. There's definitely this major upside potential that a lot of people will point to in these compensation studies. It will certainly drag the average total compensation up higher, and even the median isn't a bad number when you look at these things. However, there is an important adjustment that probably has to happen to these compensation numbers that you don't see anywhere, and you may never hear about anywhere else other than this video, which is that all of the people who are already CFA charter holders, or I'm going to say at least 90% of them, are probably extremely driven and disciplined and focused, hardworking people. The fact that they're earning these high wages may not be because they are CFA charter holders. I would say it may be more likely it's just because of the type of employee that they are. They're worth those big income levels. And if there was a way to sort compensation by what I'll just call lazy CFA charter holders, which there's not that many of because they're not easy exams to pass, but certainly there are people with very high IQs that have probably become CFA charter holders before that maybe didn't have to try so hard in the exams, at least not as hard as other people have had to try. My point is that it would be very possible to become a CFA charter holder, but then be lazy in your career and easily earn less money than other non-CFA charter holders who are working hard and providing that value that I've been talking about. All of that is to say, the work you do and the type of person you are is going to be a bigger predictor of future income, most likely, than just yes or no. Does this person have the CFA? For my own story, it was a bit of a similar trend, I think, where yes, the company had asked me to work on the CFA designation, and yes, I was letting them know as I passed each of the first two, and then certainly the third level. But there wasn't any direct salary bump, at least I don't think there was, after clearing each of those steps. And I know there wasn't like a bonus or a salary raise when I not just cleared the third exam, but when I actually completed the work experience requirements and earned the CFA charter. However, I was getting, pay raises throughout that 3.5, 4-year window just because of the progression that I was making in the career. And I do think that the fact that the two partners knew I was working towards and getting closer to the CFA designation maybe played a little bit of a role in that. But the role that played was partly because of the value of the CFA letters, but also because I think that through those years, they had understood the value I was providing at the company and what type of employee I was, and they had an idea because of those two things that probably they felt I was more likely than not to earn the charter. There are moving variables there, but they illustrate the same broad picture, which is that yes, the CFA exam should be able to earn you that higher income, but it's really your work within the firm that is going to ultimately determine exactly what that income should be. And yeah, there's probably an element that's like, hey, this person does have the CFA charter, they should probably at least be making a certain level of income. Let's say if you were drastically underpaid for your position, then having the CFA charter would make your managers go, well, that may not be appropriate for where this person's at just because of the designation. That logic could lean itself towards just having the thing being like a unspoken guaranteed bump in the minimum pay range. But again, I don't think that really would apply too much for like median to high income earners unless you are providing that type of value to the company. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you think you agree or if I was off base on anything here. I'm always reading through those and always open to other opinions. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Just hit 25,000 subscribers last week. Thank you, everyone. It's been about 4 years and I'm excited to get to that figure. Maybe this could be a 100,000 subscriber channel in another like 5 to 10 years from now. So if you could be the next one, it would be much appreciated. Have a good one.